Welcome to the award-winning Superhuman Academy podcast, where we interview extraordinary people to give you the skills and strategies to overcome the impossible. And now, here's your host, Jonathan Levy.
Hey, listen up and don't skip over this. Before we get started, I want to let you know that I am giving away completely free copies of my latest best-selling book, The Only Skill That Matters. This book is going to teach you how to upgrade your memory, read faster, learn more, and conquer your dreams. And it contains all new content written for 2020. Now, again, I am giving away completely free copies of this book. All you need to do is pay shipping and handling. So to pick up your free copy as a listener of this podcast, visit freelearningbook.com. That's freelearningbook.com. Greetings, super friends, and welcome to this week's episode, where we actually have a very special episode for you. You've probably heard me talk about today's guest before as a star SuperLearner student, and then someone who also took my Branding U program and has gone on to just become so successful and influential and do incredible things and help people all over the place. And her story starts as a traditional Western medicine doctor who goes through a lot of struggles, trials, tribulations, depression, suicidal thoughts, and much more, as you'll discover, to learning, growing, changing, evolving, and developing and becoming a coach to very, very successful people. She's an incredible woman. She's actually one of my coaches right now and has helped me through so many incredible breakthroughs in the last almost year that we've been working together. And I thought I would bring her to all of you because not only does she have an incredible story and an incredible amount of wisdom to share, but she is the epitome of a superlearner, going from not knowing anything about the thought leader business, in her words, not mine, to now, the student truly has become the teacher, and she is a valued coach of mine and teaches me so much about how to live my life and how to take good care of myself. That is just incredible. So I thought, why hog all her wisdom for myself? I wanted to bring her to all of you, and we had an incredible conversation, as we always do, about life, about what's important, about different tools that you can use to perform at your highest level, and about simplifying, which I think is a really important thing that we all need to be thinking about right now. I heard an incredible quote the other day from a former Disney executive who said, "In the rush to go back to normal, take time to consider which parts of normal are worth going back to." And I think that is so profound. And I think this podcast episode will help you think and start that conversation with yourself. So it is with great pleasure that I introduce you all to Dr. Juli La Rocca. Dr. Juli La Rocca, how are you, my friend? I'm really excited to have you on the show finally.
I am so wonderful. Thanks for having me, Jonathan.
This is a really exciting episode. Before we hit record, I told you I'm in a special privileged position because I already know so much of the juicy goodness that is your story, your gift, and also, I've bragged. You're probably the most bragged about guest because I've bragged so much about all that you've achieved. And just how much incredible growth you've done over the years, and how you have been coaching me. And so all this is to say, I'm excited to have you on the show, and I'm excited to share you with my audience finally.
It is so great to be here. I can't wait to dive in.
Yeah. So Juli, for folks who don't know you and haven't known you for years as I have, tell me who you are, what you do, but then really tell me the good stuff, which is your superhero origin story.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a healer, first and foremost. I heal holistically on all different levels. So really looking at mind, body, and consciousness. And I'm probably as holistic as it gets because I am Western trained family physician. So I'm board certified in family medicine. And I've also done an additional 2 years fellowship training in integrative and holistic medicine. So looking at things, common terms would be like functional medicine, looking at genomics and supplements and nutrigenomics and that whole world. And then also on a more personal level, I've dug very, very deeply into consciousness and what it means to be existing and just aware and present in this world, and how we can reach also altered and expanded states of consciousness. So that's a little bit about what I do, and I help people heal using all those three things. How did I even get there? I mean, that's just, sometimes I still ask myself that question. A few years ago, I hit a low point in my life. I was in residency. I had was a single mother, full-time single mother, sole custody to an infant, working 80 to 100 hours a week, and was in a place where I wasn't being true to myself. So what happens when when you aren't true to yourself is I became extremely depressed, extremely anxious, to the point where I couldn't get out of bed. I was contemplating suicide. I'd actually even had a suicide attempt a few years before that, which I've not really spoken about much, but will. It was just an all-time low for me. And something shifted in me that said, enough is enough. I can't keep doing this to myself anymore. I need to stop focusing on everybody else. I need to stop living other people's dreams. I need to stop worrying about what everybody wants me to be. And I need to focus on what I want to be, and really even discover who that person is. So I, made it through residency, made a huge shift in my life, just from a consciousness standpoint, from a physical standpoint, lost a bunch of weight, really addressed again, like the mind, body, and the consciousness, and even graduated, and still didn't even want to go into traditional Western medicine. I took a huge risk, took this online course by this guy named Jonathan Levy, who you might know. And it was like how to build a business in a few months. And so I said, yeah, let's do that. I love to create. I'm passionate about what I do. I want to share how I went from the lowest of lows to getting my life back together. And I want to share that with the world. So I started an online support and personal development site and group for single mothers called Unbreakable Moms. And connected with you, ended up then, winning this competition that you put on, going to Genius Network, connecting with these amazing, just incredible, giving, heart-centered, also very wildly successful entrepreneurs, to also launching even my own concierge medical practice, to also even launching my own coaching business now. And so yeah, wow. How even me talking about it now, I'm just like, okay, you're ridiculous, Juli. Like, how did you do all of that? But that is really my story. It started from the lowest of lows to finally discovering who I am, and accepting that and loving that, and stepping into my full power, which is where we are today.
When did you discover that you were a healer?
I think it's always been such an innate part of me. And like you said, I didn't know it. I grew up as an artist. I was always a musician. I even went, like, my bachelor's degree is a Bachelor of Arts. I studied the trumpet in college. And I think I always created art really to heal, to make people feel things. That's what art is. And I didn't know that was really me trying to get people to look into themselves. But then, some point in college, I really thought, well, I can't make money, being an artist, which is definitely a limiting belief. And I thought, you know what? I really like science. I really love helping people. Let me go to medical school. But I don't think that even then I realized that I was a healer, right? I thought that I was just helping people and using that with science. So when I really stepped into that, I don't want to call it an identity, but in a sense it really is, was when I started doing this work with patients, trying to get them to heal on a different level and change their behaviors. And it was probably in residency, when, paralleled with my own need for healing, I started looking at these patients. And let me tell you, Jonathan, like, everybody knows that they're supposed to eat healthy. Everybody knows that they're supposed to exercise. They're supposed to take their medications, but yet nobody was doing it. And so I started digging deep into the why. And really, I just became obsessed with that. And then all of a sudden, this whole world of mental health and mental wellness and well-being and spirituality and consciousness started to unfold itself. And then that was when the key really turned. And I felt like I unlocked this whole potential. And I said, you know what? I'm good at that. I'm good at helping people do this. And so, I was doing it with myself, doing it with my patients. And that's when I said, okay, yes, I am a healer.
Incredible. Incredible. Now, you run the gamut of the healing work that you do. You've worked with me on understanding my DNA better. You, again, work on nutrigenomics. You also work on plant medicines and psychedelic experiences and things. I don't know. Are we allowed to talk about that? Can we talk about that?
Yeah, we can talk about that. Certainly.
Okay.
I guess medical disclaimer, I can't endorse it, for obviously in the US and other parts of the world. Sure, it's legal. And that's a great conversation to have, about all of the safety and all of that. I can't, I don't want to get too into that right now, but certainly, it's kind of a trendy thing right now, and people are asking for it. And so do I give it to them? No, I don't give it to them. But what I can help do is create an experience so that it will benefit, because you hear about bad trips all the time, and you hear about people that, take these psychedelic drugs and they don't get much from it. And so I really believe that there's a way to prepare the mind and the body and the consciousness for such an experience, so that on the other end, it's just a absolutely, completely 180-degree transformation from where they were before.
My question is often, with someone who has your level of experience and with such a variety of tools, how do you know which tool is right? I ask myself this, and I also, I ask of someone like yourself. Like, I had a friend one time who, in the middle of an acid trip, told me, I asked, have you ever felt what I'm feeling right now? And I was on substances, and she was not. And she answered so brilliantly. She said, there are many ways to roll down that hill, the hill of, I don't want to say enlightenment, but the hill of gaining knowledge of self. And so I wonder, like, how does someone like you, when you work with a client, you have so many tools at your disposal. You also have worked with me on deepening my meditation practice and my journaling practice, and also mindset. It's like, I feel like you come at this from every angle we talk about on this podcast. How do you, and how does a person know which is the right way to roll down that hill for any given problem?
Wow, what a beautiful question. I love that. And wow, that's really where the art comes in. But I'll tell you from my experience, I don't think that a psychedelic experience is for everybody. And how do you know that? Well, I know lots of people that have taken plenty, and I mean dozens, and even in some cases hundreds of times, and they haven't even rolled down that hill.
Wow.
I truly believe that in order to have, such an experience that's going to completely change you permanently, you have to do the work beforehand.
Yes.
And you have to do the work after. Psychedelics now has become this like, oh, it's this silver bullet. You have this experience and you heal all your traumas. And that's simply not true. What I've seen is that, and I've researched and, experienced myself too, is that really it's almost like it's a preview. It's a preview to a movie. It shows you what can be. You can have these profound understandings during the trip, and then you see people just go back to their regular lives and nothing changes. Or it's temporary. It lasts 2 to 4 weeks, and then you kind of just fall back into your regular life. So do I use that tool a lot? No, I don't, because to be honest with you, the work that goes before it is so much more important than what actually happens with using that tool, if that makes sense.
It makes absolute sense. And it really is. I think they call it integration, right? It's like, in a
Mm-hmm.
way, it's almost like reading, I always say information can't create transformation without application and implementation. And it's exactly that. It's almost like these experiences that you have, again, whether they're, because just sitting down to meditate, unless you do the reflective work also, it's going to calm you down. It's going to give you so many different things, but you need to do the work to actually observe, like, what is changing in me? And how do I want to show up in the world? And how do I want to integrate this practice? And so it's almost like you're getting all this information from a psychedelic experience. But if you don't, I mean, for me, in pretty much every, I hesitate to say every, because there's been some really bad ones, but in pretty much every experience that I've had, the integration has almost started immediately, even while in the middle of the experience, pulling out a
Mm-hmm.
notebook and going, oh my God, I just learned this amazing thing that I never knew about leadership, or this
Mm-hmm.
amazing thing that I never knew about life's decisions. And so I think you're absolutely right on that. And so as I perceive the answer to your question, the answer is it's almost never one tool. It's a combination. The art is in the mixture of the tools. It's integrating the journaling practice with the meditation, with perhaps the plant medicine, or perhaps cleaning up the nutrition so we can get the meditation to actually work.
Yes, exactly. And that's why I do what I do. And I'm in such a kind of unique position to do it, because I can combine all those different elements.
Right. I was going to ask you, and I still think it's worth asking the question is, how do you think you approach this differently? I like to ask folks, there are so many X's, there are so many memory teachers online. How do you approach it differently? What are you not seeing that's happening in the marketplace that you said, you know what, I'm going to bring that because the marketplace needs it?
Yes.
And don't be humble.
Okay. Man, I really wish that this is something that I could give to everybody, because I have it and I want to give it to the world. It's an intuitive practice. Like, really at its core, I just know what people need to hear and when they need to hear it. I always say it has to be the right message at the right time with the right messenger.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I understand people and I just listen so deeply to them. And I know that you've experienced this in working with me too,
Oh,
that
yes.
I can just tell when enough is enough. We need to stop. We need to pull back. He's not ready for that yet. He needs to figure that out on his own. I can't give him the answer. And how do I know those things? I can't tell you. I think it's just through intuition and also just through experience. That's really, really where the art in all of this comes, because anybody can, there's tons of books on nutrition for healing trauma. You can learn all the science behind the, genomics, et cetera, et cetera. But really, when you have someone in front of you, that to me is the most powerful and the most sacred thing that exists, is that therapeutic relationship, is having someone across from you that is completely accepting of absolutely everything that you say and do without needing you to change, is completely non-judgmental, that nothing you can say will ever faze them in any way. And someone that has love, just so much love. Those are really the secret. That's my secret sauce that sets me apart from other healers.
I often joke that you have like bruja wisdom, like witch wisdom almost, or kind of like superpower wisdom, because you have shown me things about myself that I forgot, and yet the moment you said them, it was a breakthrough of, oh my God, that is so true about me. And I'll give you an example. I hate it when people are so vague on podcasts. Like, I grew up as a creator, building things with my hands and creating new things. And you looked at me one day when I was just not in a good place in my business or in my life. And you said, like, Jonathan, what's your creative outlet right now? Because you didn't even get to, you are the type. I don't even know where the sentence was going, but it was just like, boom. All of a sudden it was this truth. And I was back at 5 years old, that kid on the videotapes building a treehouse, not because he wanted a treehouse, but because he wanted to build and see if he could build things. And that set me down a journey that you really knew where the journey was ending up. And the journey is still evolving as early as this week, of what's going to be next for me and what am I building and what am I creating and what am I not going to be doing anymore. Is it ever strange for you to maybe see more into a person than they see into themselves?
I think we all have that ability. I think that's why we need each other. I need people to be my mirrors all the time and to reflect back to me. It's not strange at all. It's part of being human and connecting. It's actually the most beautiful thing there is, and why I love what I do so much. So no, not strange at all. Only beauty in that.
That's really cool. Now, I would love if we could share some practical tools, exercises, or homework for our audience, because you've had me do some really cool exercises over the extent of our coaching time. And I think you have a lot of really cool exercises. You've given me a lot of cool blog posts and things to read. It's really cool because I certainly feel that there are not many people that I can kind of like not let my guard down, but who can keep up with the level of content that I consume. And you always have new stuff for me, which is so cool. So what are some homework assignments? Don't feel restricted to just one. Homework assignments that maybe people can do at home to be more
Sure.
superhuman, to whatever that is. I don't want to restrict you because, again, you come from so many disciplines. You could say, hey, do this really cool blood glucose test, or go online and try this genetic test that just came out. And on the converse, you can say, hey, there's an amazing drawing exercise that I have my clients do. So I don't want to restrict you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. Yeah, I love the drawing exercise one, and I'll probably touch on that second. But that's not one that I came up with, but one that I think that everybody can benefit from, because again, it's like, okay, I'll send you content, but it's specifically for you. It's exactly what you need to hear in that moment, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But this one is something that everybody can do all the time, and it begins to increase the gap. And there's that beautiful Viktor Frankl quote. It's between stimulus and response. I think he says space. And in that space lies choice. And in that choice lies freedom. And the way that I interpret that is that space is the space between your mind and your consciousness, right? Because we are not our minds. We are not our thoughts. We are the conscious awareness of that thought. So the more that you can increase that space, that gap, the more freedom you have, freedom from emotions, freedom from just all the things that pull us down and keep us stuck in this kind of physical existence. So an exercise that everybody can do is really just being aware. And what I mean by that is, how many times throughout the day can you remember that you're a conscious being? Right? So I have my clients do this all the time. If it's even just, a little sticky notepad, and every time that you remember, just put a little check mark on there. What you just did right in that moment was had a mindfulness moment, right? You remembered that you are not your thoughts, that you are this conscious awareness instead. And then you come out of your mind, even if it's for that moment. And every time you do that, it's like a repetition of it's like doing a rep of, a bicep curl, right? Every time you do that, you're strengthening your consciousness. You are increasing that gap and increasing that space every single time.
All right, let's take a quick pause and thank this episode's sponsor, BlueBlox blue light blocking glasses, the only blue light blocking company in the world that create evidence-backed lenses for filtering blue and green light. Their Australian lab-built lens technology is fitted into the most fashionable frames, and they can even make prescription and reading glasses in their optics lab. So whether you want to wear their Sleep Plus glasses that block 100% of blue and green light, their Summer Glow mood booster glasses, or even blue light computer glasses that don't have a yellow tint, BlueBlox has you covered. Now, I like to wear the Sleep Plus glasses 2 to 3 hours before bed, and they really, really help your sleep. I also like to wear the daytime ones for reducing digital eye strain, headaches, and lowering stress. Now, BlueBlox has free and fast worldwide shipping, and if you use code SUPERHUMAN at checkout, you can get 15% off any pair that you want. Just go to blueblocks.com. That's BLUBLOX.com and enter code SUPERHUMAN to save 15%. All right, let's get back to the episode. How do people know? This is a question I always ask because in my life, coaches, it really has been that old, I believe it's a Buddhist proverb, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Mm-hmm.
But I often wonder if I have enough teachers because I am the learning guy, right? And I think a lot of us wonder, like, should I have a coach? Should I have a personal trainer? Should I have more mentors than I have at work? Should I, be leaning more on my family to guide me? And I guess this is, I think, a great question. How do people know if they need a coach like you?
Yeah, I really think that we are all our teachers. Anything can be our teacher. The question is, are you looking for it? Right? Just like and you said in that proverb, as soon as you seek, it appears. So if you're, whatever it is that you're looking for, it will show up to teach you. But it has to start with the conscious awareness of, I need help with X, right? And then life will just slap you in the face and say, here you go. Here's your challenge. Here's what you need to work on. Here's what you need to overcome. So, do people need coaches for that? Sometimes, yeah, sometimes they do. But that's really a question every person asks themselves. Close your eyes, ask your soul, ask your spirit, ask the universe, whatever it is you believe, and you'll have that answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I told you through these experiences that I've been having recently and just all the changes that are going on in my life and in my business, and I'm sure I'll talk about them in a future podcast episode, but I've come up with yet another one of my secrets of adulthood, which for those who listen to the show, I do secrets of adulthood for pretty much every year. And recently I've had like 5 new ones come in because of just everything that's been going on and all these incredible, cool changes. And a couple of them are pertinent, I think, to the discussion that we're having right now. One being that life will often make the most difficult decisions for you, but you have to listen and you have to pay attention. So
100%.
By the way, I had another one that I think was really pertinent and relevant, which I want to share with you as my coach. So I'm just going to share it on the air for the whole world to know. And I was talking with another mentor of mine and saying, it's a bummer that I'm relearning this lesson, as I was telling you on our coaching call early today. It's a bummer because I'm the learning guy, and I had thought I'd learned this life lesson, and then I realized, this quote just hit me, right? It's like, well, if I just hadn't done this way, if I hadn't done that way, and typically I don't live with regret, but I hate waste at the same time, right? So it was like this wasted time spent on doing this when I wish I'd just known, right? And it came to me that in order to learn the lessons afforded by the journey, you have to take every step of it, even the difficult ones. So
it's beautiful. Really, really beautiful.
You.
And that is some Bruja wisdom right there.
Bruja wisdom. I have the scars to prove it. Let me tell you. Now, Juli, again, you come at this health and superhuman thing from so many different angles. I think this is why you and I connect on so many levels, and we connect so well. I love just hearing about the things that you're doing. I mean, I feel like every time I see you, you are like the living embodiment of all the stuff we talk about on the show. Sometimes I'll catch you, you're like, oh, I'm fasting for 3 days. Other times you're like, yeah, I just got out of the ice bath. What has stuck for you of all the things you've learned through functional medicine, through all the incredible work you've done on meditation, and what sticks for you? Because I think people often ask me, like, what's your daily routine? But I think what's more interesting is, like, what are the things, even if they're not daily, that you've tried and have stuck?
Stillness. Yep. Stillness and inner nature. Both of those things. And I don't necessarily mean meditation when I mean stillness. And then what I mean by inner nature is simply listening in to whatever it is my body, my mind, my spirit needs and wants, and I follow that. I stopped trying to force anything in life. I just stopped. This was maybe about a year ago, and I am so much happier. I'm not trying anymore. There's no forcing. There's no just about life anymore. Everything now just flows. And, those consciousness checks that people can do at home, when you do those, ask yourself, what do I need right now? What do I want? What is it that I want to do in this moment? And sometimes that can just be taking a breath, getting a drink of water. Oh, I forgot to pee. I forgot to eat. Sometimes I want to write. Sometimes I need to get this, not even need to, I want to accomplish this task that I need to do for the day. Right. I'm so much more productive. I'm so much happier. My relationships have deepened. I'm a better mother. I'm just all around, just that makes you superhuman right there.
Totally. What else? Because I know you got a lot of, you're a pretty proficient biohacker. Maybe we will get into what are the habits that you've been doing nutritionally, exercise wise, that keep you performing at such a high level? By the way, I also don't want to denigrate the stillness one, and the not doing so much is a huge one. And it's the one that I'm working on improving right now. So that's a really, really big one. And I want to honor that. What else is there?
Yeah, I think it really also comes down to, again, following that inner nature when it comes to exercise, because, I'm just not a person that likes to go to the gym and lift weights or get on a treadmill. So I stopped trying to do that. I've been searching for ways to move my body in ways that it likes to move. And lately it's been doing these fun, Afro beats dance workouts, and it's great. And I freaking love it. And that it energizes my whole body. As my best friend says, you cannot be sad when you're dancing. So it elevates your mood. I follow that with a cold shower, which also, puts you in a great mood too. So yeah, that's exercise wise. Nutrition, again, same thing. Listening to my body's needs, because a lot of times, people are like, oh, intermittent fasting, it's so great and amazing. And yeah, it's great. And you know what? If we all just listen to our bodies, we probably wouldn't eat all day. Most of us would skip breakfast or dinner. So really listening in and saying, am I really hungry right now? What am I actually craving? And a lot of times it's the fresh stuff. Man, I really need some vegetables. And then sometimes I'll just crave fish like crazy for a week. So I'm eating tons of fish because I think my brain needs it. Right. Yeah. And then the other thing is not being so rigid with these routines. Some people get so obsessed with, oh, I can't eat because, my intermittent fasting thing is not done for another half hour. Right. Or, it's a celebration, and no, I'm not going to even touch that slice of cake. Right. It's okay. We can enjoy life. That's why we're here. We're not going to, it's not going to kill us, to try and practice moderation as much as hard as it is for some of us.
Yeah. I think that's a really, really good one. A really, really good one. So we talked about homework. We talked about how people can know if they need if they need a coach or they need help in general. What are some products or services you simply could not live without?
I think for me, sounds really weird, but I have this diffuser that I absolutely adore. It's beautiful. It's I think you can get it on Amazon for $40 or $50. They're the glass diffusers that are it looks like a star, looks like a bunch of stars, and it changes colors. So it's kind of trippy, and it's just beautiful, but also, you get the added benefit of aromatherapy. So for me, that's really key, is always creating a environment of peace around me. So I would say that's one. And then kind of second to that is my big, Alexa Echo speaker.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Because it simplifies my life. And then pretty much at all times, I have it playing on this loop of thunder sounds.
Smart. And
Yeah, whoever has an echo in their home, just say, "Hey Alexa, play thunder sounds," and oh my god, it's just beautiful noise of yeah, it's music. It's music to my ears. So I gotta say
That's
those
really
two things
smart.
are yeah.
That's really smart. What kind of oil are you putting in the diffuser? I gotta know, because we have diffusers in every room ever since I became good
Mhm.
friends with Melina Harrison. And yeah, it's been a game changer. It's like you almost can design the mood that you want your household to be in, which is really
Oh,
cool.
absolutely. Absolutely. So I do that with the, aromatherapy and then either having the thunder sounds or some like very gentle music. But I don't know, I use all kinds of different stuffs. I like to use blends and I like to change them on like maybe once a week because you
Mhm.
kind of get used to the same scent and then you put something new on. And it's like, oh, okay, that's nice and different and fresh. Um, but in general, let's see, I really love like lavenders,
Mhm.
peppermint, nothing too crazy. Like I love lemongrass too. I use that a lot in cleaning. So anything that just smells nice. Yeah.
That's cool. I love it when MDs are hip with all this, because your average MD, and you and I have talked about this at length, how you became very dissatisfied with this standard Western medicine approach. And we didn't talk about that too much throughout this episode, but I love it when MDs are hip to like, oh yeah, totally meditation, essential oils, like all this stuff. And uh, I'm a hardcore doTERRA. I love motivate during the day when I got to get work done, and at night I like either the peace or just straight lavender. So really cool. I also had a MD PhD friend who got me on grounding. I didn't mention this to you in our
Hmm.
last coaching session, but actually it's really hard during quarantine to go outside. I don't have access to outside as much as I would like, so I have a grounding mat, and I sleep with it under my feet, and
That's great.
I'm always grounded. It makes such a difference. It's crazy to me.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I take a lot of baths because baths, as the water helps ground us. And if the water is coming from a good source, and that's also a really great way to ground. So absolutely. I think it's essential to our health. And I just want to mention real quick about the oils. You know, again, like back to the inner nature, I think that we just are mentalizing everything. We're trying to intellectualize everything. And I don't want to like take away from all the science that actually supports different essential oils. But sometimes, just smell one and say, okay, I feel like that one, right? Not because it has, immune boosting properties or what have you, right? But maybe just listen to like your body and say, okay, this is the one I want right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any subjects that we didn't talk about that you would have liked to talk about? For example, we didn't touch too much on the Western medicine thing. I don't know if you want to go there, or are there any things I should have asked you that I didn't?
I did want to mention again back to like the plant medicine because there is such hype and kind of trend and kind of craze around it right now. Like I really, it is a tool, right? But I don't think that people need it to have profound either spiritual experiences, profound realizations about themselves. It is a tool, like I said, but even as you're experiencing now, right? Like you're going through all these different breakthroughs. And I think people around the world, even just with the quarantine, are just forced to look at their lives and forced introspection without these substances. So I just, they're there when we need them. And there is certainly overwhelming science and evidence to support their use. But there's also other ways too. So I just want to mention that.
Absolutely. Juli, where should people reach out to you and learn more about all the amazing stuff that you are doing?
Yeah, currently my jam is julimd.com, JULIMD.com. That's where you can learn about what I'm doing with kind of the mind body consciousness healing. Or, if you want to read more of my stories from like blogs from before, unbreakable.mom, there's a lot of just very, very raw writing there. And you can contact me through either one of those websites. Yeah, that's the best way.
What's next for you? What are you excited about doing next in your business? I mean, I know you and I are both very excited about doing less, but also what's next for you and what are you excited about doing more of as you grow your business?
I'm excited about creating meditations. Yeah, I don't know why I haven't been doing that because I do them all the time for clients, but now I'm actually going to record them and start making them publicly available. So I'm really looking forward to doing that.
Fantastic. And Juli, before I let you go, and of course, people should check out the blog post and show notes for this episode where we will have a full transcript of the episode, something new we've started doing at superhumanacademy.blog. I think, no, superhuman.blog or superhumanacademy.com. I'm getting too old for this. But last question I want to ask you before I let you go is if people take away one big message from this episode and they carry it with them for the rest of their lives, what would you hope for that to be?
Okay, I'm going to get touchy-feely on you, okay?
Please.
And whoever hears this, I want you to repeat it to yourself. Obviously, instead of you, I want you to say I. But the biggest message is that you are deeply loved.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just in my experience, everything comes down to that. Everything comes down to our need to be loved. And that's okay. That is the essential emotional need of all of us. And just know that you are, and tell yourself that every single day. I am deeply loved.
Beautiful words to end on. Dr. Juli La Rocca, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm really glad I got to share you with the audience. And I look forward to keeping in touch and our next coaching session.
Same. Thanks for having me, Jonathan.
Thanks for tuning in to the award-winning Superhuman Academy podcast. For more great skills and strategies, or for links to any of the resources mentioned in this episode, visit superhuman.blog. While you're at it, please take a moment to share this episode with a friend and leave us a review on iTunes. We'll see you next week.